Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and this year, in a first for the Genesis Prize, also online honored guests. Thank you all for joining us for the 2020 Genesis Prize Awards ceremony, hosted by His Excellency Mr. Reuven Rivlin, President of the State of Israel. Tonight, we honor the 7th Genesis laureate, Mr. Natan Sharansky. Now, due to the extraordinary times the world is facing, we are a small group here physically, but through the magic of technology, we are pleased to have so many of Natan's family and friends from all over the world join us virtually tonight. Now, the Genesis Prize seeks to foster Jewish identity, inspire Jewish pride, and strengthen the bond between Israel and the diaspora. That strength is made possible by the impressive and enduring year-round work of the Genesis Prize Foundation. Let's first take a look at some of what the Genesis Prize Foundation has achieved.
The Genesis Prize is a wonderful amplifier.
Genesis Prize is going to people who are going to try and use it for good works.
The Genesis Prize and its donors, they really dream of inspiring the next generation of Jews.
The Genesis Prize selects a human being who is both Jewish and leaves his mark on the world.
It's the Jewish Nobel Prize. People get given a prize to re-gift to things that they love and they're passionate about.
The Genesis Philanthropy Group and the Genesis Prize Foundation, both organizations founded by the same group of gentlemen, Michael Friedman, German Hahn, Peter Oven, Stan Polovets. They saw a need for those in the Jewish community who were somewhat disconnected from their identities and their roots to be much more involved and appreciative of their heritage. Since Genesis Philanthropy Group and the Genesis Prize Foundation have been established, over $250 million in grants have been given.
Genesis Prize primarily based on Jewish values. We would like to demonstrate to the youngsters that to rely on Jewish value is very efficient path to success.
I realized that I am a link in a very, very long chain, that my ancestors, those who suffered and struggled, did not give up their Jewish identity.
I am a judge, born, raised, and proud of being a Jew.
It teaches the Israelis about world Jewish diaspora and its contribution to the world, and it teaches the diaspora about the centrality of Israel and about how Israel is contributing to the world.
It highlights the connection between Israel and Jews in the diaspora, and it brings the diaspora Jews closer to Israel, and it gives the Jews abroad an understanding of who we are.
Being Jewish was a core part of my identity from a very young age, and I was always very proud of it.
The ceremony, the giving of the prize, is a message in and of itself. In this case, the medium is the message, because the ceremony brings together Israelis and diaspora leaders in a night of celebration.
It's good to be home. Let me restate that. It's good to be home again.
What makes us different than all the other prizes we read about? Our laureates have waived the prize money, and together the foundation works with the laureate to select a philanthropic theme where we work collaboratively to make a difference in the world.
Most prize winners take the money home and they're certainly entitled to it. I don't begrudge it to them. Here what they have done is they've gone to the community and they've not only given that gift, but they have rallied other people to join them.
The Genesis Prize has given me an opportunity to make some of my dreams come true, to help others the way I was helped.
I feel you really are repairing the world to some degree in some small way.
I had the privilege of a lifetime to work with such amazing individuals. The former president of the Israeli Supreme Court, Meir Shamgar, of blessed memory, retired Judge Tova Strasberg-Cohn, and of course, of blessed memory, Elie Wiesel.
This is a people that had a vision of a world of justice and equality and peace.
But if you want to make the world better, you must have strong identity. People that make your story bigger than your own. When you have this base, you can make the world better.
The prize winner transforms the field, but they also get transformed. And they discover a part of their lives that they weren't so in touch with.
That's a great unintended consequence of the prize, that not only do they move us, but we've had the ability to move them.
The impact areas of the Genesis Prize is what counts. It's not only the ceremony itself, it's actually where the money will be directed to.
The contribution of the Genesis Prize funding to 3 programs in Myanmar and in Uganda, it's a great example of how a Jewish organization like Genesis has supported our work to help the most vulnerable in these places.
The basic characteristics of the work of the Genesis Prize Foundation are present in everything they do. The way they select their prize winner, the way they do programs on the ground, the way they run the ceremony. I think that in all these areas, there are common denominators of high quality and a real sense of responsibility for the voice they have in the Jewish world.
The Genesis Prize, because of the projects, has done a very good job of raising the bar on what Israelis and Jews in the diaspora can do so we can learn from each other. The prize has enabled us to be a more active Jewish people.
If you take the Jewish community in any society, the way that they have enriched the society in so many different ways and use that influence for the betterment of that society, that is that's an amazing thing.
Think big, take chances, believe that tomorrow can be better than today, and understand that it's your responsibility to help make it so.
I invite other philanthropists to join us and do what I did, do what Genesis did, and let us make an impact, let us make a change.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor that I invite our host, His Excellency, Mr. Reuven Rivlin, President of the State of Israel, to the stage.
Good evening. President of the Supreme Court, Justice Esther Hayut, former President of the Supreme Court, Justice Miriam Naor, Chairman of the Jewish Agency, Mr. Yitzhak, for me, Bougie Herzog, Genesis Prize Laureate, Mr. Natan Sharansky, and Mrs. Natan Sharansky, CEO of Startup Nation, Central Professor Kendall, Doron Almog, dear friends. The heart of the State of Israel is its character as a Jewish and democratic state. Natan, my dear, for me, you and Avital are the real symbol of Zionism in our days. As a refugenik who fought for the right of the Jewish people to move to their homeland, and as the human rights defender with the Helsinki Group, as Minister and Chair of the Jewish Agency, and as a passionate voice for the right of the people to live in free societies, you have been an example of what it means to combine and to unite Jewish and democratic values. Natan, I know you since the day you have come to us, to Israel, and since the day you were involved in the life of all the Israelis. You never rest. Never, ever you rest. After 9 years in prison and finally reaching Israel, you did not take a break. You immediately began to work for the integration of our sisters and brothers from the former Soviet Union. And after the great waves of Aliyah from the former Soviet Union, you took on new roles to promote Jewish unity, strengthen Israeli society, and fight anti-Semitism. It is therefore no surprise that you have chosen to use the $1 million Genesis Prize money, to give that money to philanthropic and high-tech initiatives that are trying to address the greatest challenge facing the world today, the coronavirus. You are a source of inspiration for all of us. Thank you to the leadership of the Genesis Prize for your important work, not only to strengthen Jewish pride, but to do it through what we call Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam that became words that all the world understand what are the meanings of the two Hebrew words of Tikkun Olam. You have made Tikkun Olam something which is value to the entire humanity. You did it by bringing together the Jewish people through helping those in need, both in Israel and around the world. Never has this mission been more important than today. Thank you, Genesis Prize.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have gathered here today to honor our 2020 laureate, legendary refusenik and human rights advocate Natan Sharansky, a lifelong champion of democracy who knows very well how precious freedom is. As a young activist in the former Soviet Union, he spent 9 years in a prison fighting for his beliefs. Finally released in 1986 following an intense international campaign led by his beloved wife Avital. Upon his release, he joined Avital in Israel and resumed his activism. Natan has held a series of distinguished public service roles over the past 35 years. He continued to devote his life to fighting for the rights of the vulnerable and the downtrodden. As a voice for those who have none, he has advocated with grace and humility throughout his life. So when Mr. Sharansky was named the recipient of the 2020 Genesis Prize, many, many friends, world leaders among them, and dignitaries were eager to congratulate him. And so, here are some messages from many whose lives, Natan, you have touched.
I'm pleased my good friend Natan Sharansky has been selected as the 2020 Genesis Prize laureate. Laura and I send our best wishes to you, President Rivlin, and all those gathered at this dinner this evening.
His struggle for personal freedom and liberation in the 1970s and 1980s was something that became renowned the world over for its courage, its determination, its dogged pursuit of integrity and the best interests of humanity.
I remember that cold day in February 1986 when on the Gliniker Bridge, the so-called Bridge of Spies in Berlin, I had the great honor and privilege of meeting him as he was released by his Soviet captors.
He's a man with great fortitude, great resilience.
In a word, he is the embodiment and personification of what human rights is all about.
When I was growing up in Baku, there were names that were said with a different voice. There were names spoken with respect. The names that stuck with me most of all were Sakharov and Sharansky. Even before I fully comprehended what the dissidents were fighting for, I understood that they were men of great courage, taking huge risks to say and do what they believed in.
The name Sharansky has gone from being the name of a courageous prisoner who suffered for being Jewish to being a symbol of the need to be vigilant against anti-Semitism and human rights abuses.
You are just Natan Sharansky, the name the world knows as the symbol of fight for freedom, for the rights of the Jewish people, for the state of Israel.
I think the entire world owes Natan Sharansky a great debt of gratitude. He is a true hero of the Jewish people and a hero for anyone who values freedom and liberty.
No other living person has done so much for the Jewish people as you. You are my hero.
This is who you are. This is what you represent for me. The future of the Jewish people, the future of Am Yisrael, and the future of our children.
In truth,
Am Yisrael and the world have been the recipients of all that you have inspired us to do, to reach beyond our grasp.
Natan is a prominent advocate for freedom and democracy around the world, and I was honored to present him with the Medal of Freedom in 2006.
You have shown through your courage, determination, and sheer force of will that human rights, including freedom of expression, are worth fighting for.
You're the greatest Zionist. You are idealistic. You have humanity. You have determination. You have optimism, and your smile is the best.
He's filled with gratitude, abundant gratitude. He has a great sense of humor.
I've never met somebody in public life who has the humility of Natan Sharansky, and that makes him, in my eyes, the most worthy individual to win this high honor.
You have been an inspiration. You're still an inspiration. You continue to inspire, you continue to lead, you continue to live your values.
Moses came to power when he was 80. So we expect a lot more leadership and creativity from you in the years ahead.
I consider him like a brother. Love you, Natan. Congratulations on the Genesis Prize.
You are a living symbol of faith, of courage, and of hope. We salute you. May Hashem continue to bless you, and may you continue to bless us.
A remarkable moment from around the world. All these people wanted so very much to be with you, Natan, tonight, and they were very grateful to be joined in this message. The sculpture Mr. Sharansky is receiving tonight tells a story similar to his own life. The sculpture portrays the classic biblical scene of Jacob wrestling with the angel. That moment portrayed in the sculpture and the name Israel itself have become the defining description of the Jewish people. To be Jewish is to struggle alongside fellow humans, to pull them closer to the ideal of a better world, tikkun olam, as the president said. Now, the prize is given to one who has taken on the full challenge of that struggle. He who has lived a life of unyielding commitment to move humanity forward and is therefore an exceptional role model for the coming generation of Jewish people. I am honored to now call to the stage the recipient of the 2020 Genesis Prize Award, Natan Sharansky. I would also like to ask to the stage for the picture taking, please, the President, His Excellency, the President of the State of Israel, Mr. Reuven Rivlin, and also, please, Mrs. Avital Sharansky, for the picture taking to come to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, distinguished viewers, Natan Sharansky.
Dear Mr. President, thank you for your hospitality. And Bougie and all the other judges of Selection Prize Committee and the founding members of Genesis Prize. It was about 10 years ago that we were discussing with you this idea. It was only idea. And today it is one of the most prestigious Jewish prizes of the world. Quite an achievement. And I know how much effort you put in this, how many thoughts and stubbornness and inventiveness. And here I have to say that really the team of Genesis Prize here made a phenomenal work. But I told them, I really want to see if there are programs where even with small sums, $50,000, $30,000, $70,000, we can make a real difference. And they brought me the whole package of projects. And suddenly we find out that with the help of $1 million, you can really help to tens and tens of thousands of elderly who are in difficult situations, of broken families and children from these families, to prisoners who are going through special course of coming back to our world, but our world is with Corona, to the children with disabilities, and many, many other people. And from Eastern Jerusalem, from Western Jerusalem, from Bnei Brak, from Southern Tel Aviv, and so on. And it was all great projects. And here I will read, without any cynicism, with excitement, I'm telling to you those who created these programs, those who work day and night to help to these people. I really tell you, thank you very much for giving us, to me and my wife, this unique honor to participate in these programs. I really want to thank Kadosh Baruch Hu, the State of Israel, the Jews of the world, all the Jews of the world, for giving us unique opportunity to participate in this program of gathering of exiles, Kibbutz Galoyot, for giving us this pleasure of participating in this unique Jewish journey through centuries. Am Yisrael Chai. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sharansky. We are celebrating the life and achievements of Mr. Sharansky this evening from the holy city of Jerusalem. Mr. Sharansky had been imprisoned for several years in a Soviet jail when on January 20th, 1980, his birthday, he received a present that could only be seen as a sign from above. One of the prison guards on duty that day gave Natan a small Tehillim book that had been confiscated from him while he had been incarcerated. This was indeed a special gift, as it was the Tehillim book his beloved wife Avital gave him the day he was arrested. The prayer book lifted his spirit, strengthened his resilience. In prison, as he was longing for freedom and pining for Jerusalem, he also heard a song being sung in Israel called Jerusalem of Gold. With the little Hebrew he had memorized by then, it clung to its words until his release. The song itself was written in 1967 by famous Israeli musician Naomi Shemer. It is a song that has been etched not just into Nathan's heart, but also into the cultural fabric of Israel and the Jewish themes it celebrates. So here, to sing it for us, as she did years ago, and just like Natan heard it for the first time, please welcome Shuli Natan.
אוויר הרים צלול כיין וריח אורני ניססה ברוח ארבעים עם כל פעמונים ובתרדמת אילן ואבן שבויה בחלומה העיר אשר בדד יושבת ובליבה חומה ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור חזרנו אל בורות המים לשוק ולכיכר שופר קורא בהר הבית בעיר העתיקה ובמערות אשר בסלע אלפי שמשות זורחות נשוב נרד אל ים המלח בדרך יריחו ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לכל שירייך
Thank you, Shuli Natan. It is a great honor that I ask now Mr. Isaac Herzog to the stage to deliver a few remarks.
Thank you, our dear President, Reuven Rivlin, for hosting this ceremony of the Genesis Prize, the most important prize of the Jewish people, in your residence. I hope this will become a very nice annual tradition. Dear friends, I remember as a teenager in New York going to rallies in front of the United Nations Plaza for the release of Natan Sharansky and listening and seeing Avital, the courageous human rights advocate and refusnik who was standing up for his right and the rights of fellow Jews to come home to Israel. Natan, from the depths of your prison cell, your spirit rose to great heights and unified the Jewish people across the globe. Your story and Avital's boldness and love led to an outpouring of Jewish pride around the world. As chairman of the Jewish Agency, you understood so deeply that strengthening Jewish identity, unity, and Israel diaspora relationship are a top priority for the State of Israel and the entire Jewish global community. Under your leadership, the Jewish Agency, the world's largest Jewish organization, established exciting new ventures which connected young Jews to their identity and their nation state and ingathered the exiles. And today, you chair the Edelson Shlichut Institute, which trains thousands of young Israelis to be emissaries to communities throughout the diaspora. Natan, not only your actions, but also your words, as we just heard them, continue to inspire and encourage us all. Your books, including the last one, provide invaluable lessons on speaking truth to power, standing up for your principles and for democratic values, and striving for Jewish unity. Therefore, it is extremely fitting that you have been honored with the Genesis Prize for the year 2020, and that you have dedicated the prize money to noble causes for the benefit of the Jewish people and Israeli society and economy. And just as you always have been in the past, I know that you will continue to dedicate your sharp mind, your boundless energy, and your charming personality to meeting the challenges facing the Jewish nation today. Dear friends, thanks again to the Genesis Prize, the Nobel Prize of the Jewish people. We all hope to see you all next year in Yerushalayim, B'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim. Thank you, Mr. President, and Mazal Tov to you, Natan Sharansky.
Every year, the Genesis Prize recipient has waived the $1 million award and passed it forward in the Jewish spirit of tzedakah. This year's recipient, legendary human rights activist Natan Sharansky, in partnership with the foundation, has granted the prize money to groups and organizations fighting the corona pandemic, whilst also supporting individuals most affected by it. Mr. Sharansky has spent a lifetime fighting for the human rights of individuals at risk, who mostly go unnoticed. So in that spirit, the Genesis Foundation worked with Natan to select 15 organizations across 3 continents in Israel, Europe, and North America, bolstering their work through grants. These organizations represent not only the spirit of the Jewish people, but also mirror the compassion of this year's Genesis Prize laureate, Natan Sharansky. One of the Genesis Prize guarantees, who, due to the restrictions of the times we live in, could not be here in person, is the Shalva organization. It's an organization that strives to make a better, safer world for those in need. And so, in their absence, they sent us a little bit of sun. Here's the Shalva band with Here Comes the Sun.
darling, it seems that you since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say, it's alright. Little darling, the smile is returning to the faces. Little darling, it seems that you since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say, it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, sun, sun. Here comes the sun. Here comes the Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say, it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, sun, sun. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say, it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes.
I'm now very honored to call to the stage Professor Eugene Kandel, President of Startup Nation Central, as well as Ms. Sana Britovsky, Deputy CEO of the Genesis Prize Foundation, to present the winners of the Startup Nation Central competition.
Thank you, Mr. President, first and foremost for hosting us in your home with such grace and dignity in these challenging times. I'm honored to be joined here by Professor Eugene Kandel as we present the winners of this year's competition.
In September, Startup Nation Central, an organization that is dedicated to ensure the strength and vitality of the Israeli technological innovation ecosystem and increasing its impact on the rest of the world, partnered with the Genesis Prize Foundation to recognize Israeli companies that combat coronavirus and the future pandemics as well, in a special competition initiated by the 2020 Genesis Prize laureate Natan Sharansky. The competition was the opportunity to expose the impact Israeli technology is making on global COVID-19 challenges. The winners will regift their prizes to NGOs or nonprofits of their choice that also work to mitigate the consequences of COVID-19 amongst the especially vulnerable populations, where the companies have been amazing, and we're really proud to be associated with this prize. Natan, thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you, Eugene. It's my great pleasure to announce the judges' choice of the 10 winning companies and the brief, very brief, description of their work. Kamada develops therapies using protein derived from plasma and has completed manufacturing its first bunch of plasma-derived product from coronavirus patient. Pluristem Therapeutic, a regenerative medicine company, is developing a new platform of biological products to treat coronavirus. Site Diagnostics uses advanced computer vision and machine learning technologies in the field of blood diagnostics. K Health developed an app with a personalized health assistant based on artificial intelligence, showing how doctors have diagnosed and treated other people with similar symptoms. It can help decrease the spread of COVID-19, offering patients access to diagnostics from the safety of their own home. Picodia Technologies develops an in vitro diagnostics platform that helps diagnose and treat infectious disease such as COVID, SARS, and the flu, as well as cancer and heart disease. Israel Aerospace Industries uses artificial intelligence, big data, and machine learning to predict the progression of the disease and the medical status of coronavirus patients. Sonovia developed a cutting-edge sonomask, which many of us wearing this evening. This mask proven to be then 90% effective against COVID and 99.89% effective against other viruses. BioBit developed a wearable device for accurate, not invasive, medical-grade monitoring of vital signs. The BioBit monitoring platform, now installed in 16 hospitals across Israel, track the patient's medical condition from afar. MyZepi uses small, remote-controlled, at-home helium balloons with video cameras to help caregivers visit and check up on older adults and loved ones. Eye Control uses eye tracking technology to allow ventilated patients to communicate directly with medical staff and loved ones, improving communication and reducing isolation. I am pleased to note that, inspired by Natan's generosity, each of the 10 winning companies is donating their prize funds to a wide variety of Israeli non-profits of their choice, working to mitigate the effects of the pandemic. I commend each company for their social and corporate responsibility, and most importantly, for completing a virtuous and generous circle by philanthropy started by Natan. Toda rabah. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and online guests, Mr. President, and of course, Genesis Prize laureate Natan Sharansky and Mrs. Avital Sharansky, thank you for joining us this evening. I would like to thank the Genesis Prize founders and leadership, Genesis Prize laureates, ambassadors, Supreme Court judges, members of the Genesis Prize Selection, Prize and Advisory Committee, Natan Sharansky family members, guarantees and Startup Nation competition winners, guests from all around the world who have been with us tonight in Jerusalem. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and shalom from Jerusalem.
It's been